A lot of the people out here don't have running electricity or water. My family included, we don't have fresh water where we live. And so we have to drive over 70 miles to the nearest border town in Flagstaff because of the nearby vacant uranium mines.
Hello, and welcome back to the Voice for You podcast, where we empower the leaders of today and tomorrow. I'm your host, Jeshwant Vana. Today, I'm joined by a young leader in our community. She is what one would consider a social justice advocate, well, specifically a STEM justice advocate, hailing from the Navajo Nation. She spearheaded ResBotX, bringing STEM to Indigenous youth, forming 20-plus teams, and organizing the first all-Indigenous robotics region, which, happily, 3 of her teams reached the Worlds for robotics, with her own team winning the Impact Award, the World Championships Award, and herself being awarded the Alaire Medal. She's also a strong STEM policy advocate, playing a key role in multiple STEM-related government issues. She has been awarded the Coca-Cola Scholar for all of her efforts and is going on to great stuff afterwards. So, being a social justice advocate hailing from the Navajo Nation, she is Miss Elena Klopfenstein. How are you doing today, Elena?
I'm doing great. Wow. What else is there for me to say now?
Thank you. It is a nice day outside. I think I can see a little bit of blue. It's like cloudy, but it's also sunny at the same time. The best kind of weather. So, definitely. But
I'm missing some clouds. It's totally clear, and I'm pretty sure it's about record-breaking 106 degrees outside right now.
yeah, that's what Arizona does to you. I know I've never been to the west or southwest or anything like that, but I know that Arizona too gets especially hot.
Yeah.
I've heard it. What's the highest y'all have gone this year? Is it 106?
I know that we've had definitely some record-breaking numbers, especially over here in Arizona. I'm afraid to go outside. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna melt, and I'm all just clogged up in my house with my AC.
That's fair. For us, for here in Memphis, the weather can be bipolar. It can be cold one day, it could be raining the next day, and then it could be the sunniest day ever. You never know what's gonna happen. It's a little bipolar, but that's it's better than just straight up hot or straight up cold. Get a variety of it.
The thing about that over there is that I like Arizona and California. It's hot, of course, but at least it's not humid.
Yes. I know we had rain a couple of days ago, but yeah, humidity, that's the word. I always forget about that word. I just say rainy. Humidity, that is a very strong word. And a very good word to use there. Because it does rain a lot here, but it doesn't get too super hot, so it's not it's dry and all that. But yeah, wet puddles and muddy grass. It's looking not fun playing in the summer.
Yeah.
Definitely. But before I get into the interview, tell me a little bit about yourselves, your hobbies, your passions, and who you are as a person.
Well, as you've already said, I live on the Navajo reservation. And I really think it's hard to explain exactly how that is, how it is to live on the res to someone who's never been there before. I mean, you can literally drive for miles and only come across maybe one house or maybe one trailer or one hogan. And a lot of the people out here don't have running electricity or water. My family included, we don't have fresh water where we live. And so we have to drive over 70 miles to the nearest border town in Flagstaff because of the nearby vacant uranium mines. And most people out here have it way worse. And so that's just something you have to explain to people when you come from out here, and explaining all what people are able to achieve, what people are able to believe in themselves. It all stems from that, systemic culture.
Okay, well, that's crazy. Oh my, I never thought because fresh in Memphis, we live on top of estuary or something. We get clean water here, so that's low-key interesting. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, but I love my home. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love my culture. I love my people. And of course, there's also so much to do around here. I got some livestock. I love my horses. I love my dogs. We have some plants out here. One of the main things I love to do with my dad is that he's a cultural medicine man, which means he goes around the Navajo reservation, helps people with ceremonies and prayers, and he teaches me those prayers, and I keep them within my heart at all times. He teaches me on all the different kind of uses for medicinal plants, and tells me that my culture is important every single day, no matter what I do. Because I go to school off the reservation, and sometimes it's hard to forget about that, and not a lot of people bring it up. And it's always been a value of mine to keep that close to me, no matter where I go.
Definitely. Obviously, the Navajo are a very, very important, reservation and people for U.S. history in general. They have helped a lot throughout, especially in modern history. And when it comes to World War I and II, the Navajo Code Talkers were a very big part in, helping us succeed. And the Navajo Nation does play a massive part, and like I've mentioned, maybe 2 or 3 times now, a big part in U.S. history. And the fact that you are, very engulfed in your culture, that's something a lot of people, take pride in, where they come from, the experience they have, the way that they're grown up, the people they meet, that's what makes you unique, or yourself, in my opinion, from everybody else. I get into all of the questions, the hard-hitting questions. I start my interviews off, more lighthearted with what they like to say, an icebreaker question. And I know I remember a couple people telling me that they asked you this while you were at Coca-Cola, but if you had 25 hours in a day, obviously there's 24 hours in a day, but now all of a sudden you've got an extra hour added to your day, what would you do with that extra time?
Oh, you're giving me PTSD. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that interview was definitely not my best. When I did that interview, they asked me all these kind of questions, and first off, my camera did not work, my audio was not working, and we spent the first 20 minutes not even doing anything, which is wild. So I was super surprised when I got it. But to answer that question, I think what I answered and still believe that I would do is that I would do more, especially around the Grand Canyon. I think I don't spend enough time there. It's literally right in my backyard, but I always just not going out there sometimes. Honestly, it's kind of a little bit intimidating living so close to it because of all the tourists and stuff who live next to a trading post, and just going out there and seeing the hundreds of different kinds of people around there. It makes me hard to forget. It makes it easy to forget that this is actually my home, and that all of this land right here is part of my culture and part of my history, and that it belongs to me in such an essential way. And just going out there, and there's so much to do out there, especially what's happening now in politics, what's happening with the forestry services and how they're being defunded. I just know I can do a lot more, but sometimes that kind of fear kind of just gets to me, and sometimes I just don't do it, and then I ask myself later, why the heck didn't you do it when you had the opportunity? And I would just go out more in nature. That's what I would do.
That's valid. How far are you obviously said it's in your backyard, estimated ETA, how far is the Grand Canyon?
Maybe I live right next to the Little Colorado River. I can literally walk to it in less than 10 minutes. I would say less than maybe half a mile.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's not even that far. Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously, since you do live that close, you probably had your decent, run-ins with tourists, whatever you do, because
they can get annoying.
I know that is what America would consider one of its wonders of the U.S. per se, because the Grand Canyon is massive. It really is. So, it is, and obviously it's all natural too. It is a environmental keystone of America. So definitely having that in your backyard too. That's when you say you have something that massive in your backyard, it's you see it every day, and it's oh, I just see it every day. It doesn't really I see it
exactly. You can take it for granted.
Exactly. For me, I've never been to the Grand Canyon. When you say it's in my backyard, I'm oh snap! That's cool, So, I could say the same thing too. The Mississippi River is only an hour away from me, so I take that for granted. It's oh, it's the Mississippi. I can see whatever I want. The same thing with you, but instead, the Grand Canyon is a lot closer, as in a half a mile from where you are. Which is
yeah.
very, very well. world. Obviously, you're very intact with nature too. What is your favorite thing to do outdoors in your opinion?
I love going rock climbing. I have a whole bunch of canyons behind my house. I just do, if you want to do all natural. But my brother is actually a rock climbing instructor, and so that's kind of how I really kind of got into it. But it's really, really fun. Of course, I love the outdoors. I love going hiking, especially in like Sedona. I don't know if you've heard of it, but one of my favorite things to do outside is river rafting. And I actually have a few planned trips this summer. I'm actually a river guide, mostly for cultural trips, but I also do science trips. And I partner with other ecological scientists, environmental scientists, and other activists as well for the Colorado River, because it's always being attacked for like resources and things like that.
Yes. Any river is, a lot of major rivers are being attacked like that, but especially in a rich area like Southwest U.S. and Colorado, 100%. Are you like a massive? Is river raft like white water rafting is like the subgroup of river rafting, is it?
Kind of. It's the only kind of river rafting I've ever done.
Okay.
It's just like 20-foot high waves high above your head and like huge like red walls right in front of you. It's a whole other world down there. Different kind of animals, different kind of plants, and it's really, at night we don't even have tents. We just put down like a little tarp, and that's pretty much it, because it's so hot down there you don't even need anything. And it's my favorite part of the year, honestly, bad to say.
Definitely. Obviously, like the thing with the U.S. is it's so vast. Like you're not going to see the same animals here as you see in like Arizona. Like I've never came across a rattlesnake in my life. Like I know those are pretty common in Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very common. And then I know that like mountain lions run around those parts. It's not common, but they're there too. I remember watching something as a kid. Jaguars will go as far as going into Arizona too. It's like really rare, but they will hop into like Southwest, like Arizona and Texas, that kind of area too. So.
Wow, I never heard of that, a jaguar in Arizona.
Loki, if I saw a jaguar in Arizona, I would be like, first off, I'd be scared because I'm staring at a jaguar, but also Loki kind of cool because the jaguar.
Yeah, but wildlife is, it's no stranger. I mean, just the other day, there was a bobcat on our phone line, and right in the middle of the morning, we woke up to a whole bunch of our dogs barking. We're like, what the heck is that? At like 4 o'clock in the morning, we went outside, and they were like, chased down a bobcat on our phone line. We're like, oh, shoot. And who are you gonna call? You just gotta let that happen. It's not like animal services are gonna come out unless it's gonna take maybe 2 hours, because that's how far they are.
Yeah. Same thing, like, I've never seen a bobcat in the wild. I've seen it at the zoo, but never in person. Like, it's wild. But that goes to show how crazy wildlife. And obviously, I'm a big wildlife guy myself. I've always been a big animal lover. And, it's cool to see the different animals, especially like take like East Coast. You have like East Tennessee. There's like black bears running around there 24/7. Obviously, Arizona, they got bobcats, rattlesnakes, all that. And then you just travel different places. Covers everywhere, which is beautiful to see. So, first off, congratulations on graduating high school. I know that is a big, achievement for everybody, especially taking that next step into college or the workforce or military. But as a senior that has graduated, what school have you committed to, and what about that college attracted you to first apply there and then also commit at the very end?
Well, I've always been committed to helping people, making a change, especially in my community. Change only happens when, you use your unique experience and passion to do it, and to make solutions. And what better term for that than really an engineer? And so that's really what attracted me to first place to Stanford University, which I've committed to. And I'm really excited. I did think about East Coast schools, but then I kind of got intimidated, and like I said, I don't like humidity. And I went to New York once. It was not my place. But West Coast is my home. Of course, I'm probably going to be working on the East Coast sometimes in my life, but right now I think I'm going to stick to the West Coast, which is why I really chose Stanford in the first place.
Definitely, and obviously, it's Stanford at the end. It's one of the best colleges in the world. So, and then obviously Stanford engineering is very, very good. Are you going to, like, obviously you're big on the environment. So are you going to, like, environmental engineering, or?
I'm actually going to be doing chemical engineering.
Okay.
Yeah.
What made you push towards chemical engineering?
Well, I was thinking more working in the agricultural sector, really working on that, because I know a lot of our work that comes from the Navajo Nation, a lot of it comes from agriculture, and a lot of keeping that agricultural aspect in our culture. And I've always just been really invested in it. We don't have a cornfield where I live, it's way too dry, but I've been to a couple in Tuba City, that's another town on the reservation, and other places as well, and it's really always just fascinating me, and you can do so much with it. And honestly, you're always going to need food, and agriculture is always going to be important. But I think at the end of the day, I think I'm still kind of figuring out what I like. Chemistry was always my favorite class in high school. I excelled in it. I loved it. My teacher was awesome. And of course, I love engineering. I've done robotics, and I really don't think I can let that go. And so really trying to bridge the gap between my interests, between, helping people in my community, advocacy, and also including STEM is really what I want to do. So really just figuring out what I like.
Well, helping the people, and obviously with everything that you have done, it's very STEM oriented, like we have mentioned earlier, and especially with robotics, which leads into a perfect segue of your extracurriculars. Obviously, you got to Stanford for a very good reason, and these extracurriculars that you have do show very much, such as you were the spearhead for ResBotX, which has brought STEM to Indigenous youth of 150 members in the formation of 20 plus teams. So how did you first, before ResBotX, for all that, how did you get involved with robotics as a kid?
Well, I went to a residential school on the Navajo Reservation, and it is really different than going to school off the reservation. First of all, a lot of people don't care about the curriculum. What they're really trying to do is really get up test scores for kids to actually just to graduate, and not really create that environment for STEM learning. And I never really had that role model that could actually tell me that I can go out and do amazing things. My dad got his degree in teaching in Utah, but like I said, early on, he decided to be a full-time summer learning practitioner. And my mom never actually went to college ever. And so and I love them. They taught me and instilled me so many values. They didn't know a lot about post-secondary education. And so when I went to high school on Flagstaff, I was really frightened. First of all, in my residential school, I was surrounded by Indigenous students. And in Flagstaff, when I went there, I was suddenly I was just dumped into a new situation, a new environment where I was near none of my friends, near none of the people I knew, and no one looked like me. And it was frightening. And that really kind of all changed when I met my physics teacher. Her name is Miss Sapio. I can talk about her later. She's an amazing woman, and you can probably look her up. She's all over the internet also. But she really, really believed in me and told me that I could probably get this done. And so she invited me. She's actually a coach for our robotics team that was there. We're called the Coconuts. And so she said, join it and see what you like. We got the impact team, we got the programming team, we got the build team. You can go in between those teams, see what you like. You can do one, you can do the other, you can do both, whatever you want. But I'm here to help you, and I can see that you have potential. And really, it was the first time that someone actually said that to me. And so I was able to do so much. And the thing about the program of robotics is I'm part of First Robotics. And it was more about robotics. It was less about the technical side. Of course, it was about building robots and learning new skills. But it was more about giving that opportunity to other people, the STEM opportunities, and encouraging others. That was my favorite part of the program, the outreach. Teaching other coaches to build more teams, starting at like all the way from like kindergartners all the way to people that were my age, and them looking up to me. It was something I wanted to be for others, and it made me realize what I wanted to do in life. I wanted to bring that back. I mean, I've been to the steps of Capitol Hill. I've helped kids build hundreds of different kinds of robots. I've talked to senators, legislators. I've been to world championships for robotics. And I realized that not even not the town next over, kids just like me, who looked just like me, who felt just like me, didn't have the same opportunity because of what they looked like and where they were from. And so that was really the basis of why I wanted to create ResBotX, and that's where it came from.
Definitely, definitely. Having that one mentor, or having that one person that truly believes in what you do and being there for you whenever you do that truly does help a lot in the growth of yourself. Obviously, without your teacher, you probably wouldn't have even thought of running robotics in general, honestly. So one leads to another, and those mentors in our life, the people that we surround ourselves with, definitely can make a big part of all that. And with all of the backstory behind ResBotX, you did eventually build ResBotX, and which had 20, like I mentioned before, 20 plus teams and 150 plus members, all part of the Indigenous youth. So how were you able to grow this number to 20 teams and all?
Well, it kind of goes back to something my dad always tells me. People don't care what you do until they found out how much you care. So it was really just reaching out to all of these schools, all of these kids, figure out and just telling them about this program and robotics and what it could do for them, and really just telling them and empathizing with them about their struggles. Because like I said, when I went to high school, I had to drive over 3 hours every single day on a school bus just to go to school. And I'm not the only person that does that. A lot of these kids have to stay in dorms, they don't see their parents or their families for the whole week, or sometimes even the entire month. And a lot of these kids, when they don't do that, you have to drive for hours. And that's just some of the struggle. What ResBotX was really about was to show them that it was for Indigenous students, it was for us and our circumstances. Because when you introduce someone to a team like this on the res, they're like, why should I do this? Why should I travel hours just to lose against a more experienced team in, say, like Phoenix? It really, really depletes their confidence, and that's not what I wanted to do. And so making sure that ResBotX was just for them was always part of the goal. So having those workshops in the heart of the Navajo Nation, and the Navajo Nation is bigger than the state of West Virginia. So there's a lot of people. And so having those workshops in Window Rock and Salee and Sholo, and showing them that we're always going to be here for them no matter what, and that we're always going to accommodate to their needs. And having that first all-Indigenous robotics tournament at the very first college on the Navajo Nation ever built, it was really just a representation of what this entire program was for me and for others. And having all those kids come, and of course a lot of them were scared, they were new to it, but they were willing to try, and they relied on us, on me and my team, to make sure they got that, and I wasn't going to let them down.
Definitely. It's that full circle back moment. You were in the same position as a kid, and now you're giving back. But before I say anything, your dad seems like a very, very wise man. Someone the stuff that he says, that's personally anyone can connect to that too. When you said that, he said, people don't care until they see how much. I 100% do agree with what he said. That is truly something that, because take this, take the podcast for example. Before I started this series, no one knew I had a podcast. I had one friend said I had a podcast, and I'll be honest, because of this podcast I've gotten so many opportunities, and this podcast has become synonymous with my name. So showing, and it's because I do truly care about the marketing I've done, everything. And obviously the same thing goes for you and and robotics in general, not even ResBotX, with robotics in general. You reaching out to these kids, showing them that there is another outlet, from, obviously like you said, they spend a lot of time away from each other because the Navajo Nation is very big. I knew it was big, but I didn't know it was West Virginia. That's crazy.
Yep.
That just goes to show, because Arizona is a big state to begin with, and then having a region the size of another state, that's crazy. Truly. But that's truly some inspiring stuff from your words from your dad, and obviously so with the creation of this first all-Indigenous robotics region, ResBotX, you did have 3 teams qualify for the World Championship, which is a very, very big deal in the world of robotics. I know my school is we're very big on FRC and robotics.
parts, because the Flagstaff is one of the essential parts in Arizona, but it's still closer to the Grand Canyon than it is to Phoenix. So getting to those hardware stores, getting those parts, and getting that robot done, and driving all the way to where we need to go, always been very much of a hassle. And it's always been fun having those late nights with nothing but pizza, and hopefully some of the parents take pity on us and cook us dinner. And us screaming at each other, asking ourselves where the heck is the Elena Ranch? Why isn't the computer working? What the heck? Why did someone change the Wi-Fi password? It's always going to be the fondest memories I have in high school. And I love my team. They're my family. I'm still going to keep in touch with them. I love them.
Definitely. But with all this work, personally with you and your team, not other teams, 3 teams, like I mentioned, qualified for the World. So, did you have any sort of what were your feelings when you heard that not only your team placed, but 2 other teams, a part of the Navajo Nation, which you helped found a part of that region with ResBotX place? What were your feelings and emotions?
Well, the 2 teams that qualified this year, they really just it was really just growth from what we saw last year. I started the program last year, and when we had the very first tournament at Diné College, and really to get that going, I called first headquarters. I had a meeting with them, and I told them how much of a big, huge precedent this was to show to Native American students, to Indigenous students all over the country, that the very first Navajo Nation team to ever make it to World Championships, and how important this would be. And so we actually got permission from them to send the championship winner, because even last year the Navajo Nation wasn't a region yet. It was just a part of Arizona. And so we got permission to send one of those teams from the qualifier to World Championships, just to show them what exactly they were getting into. And we had a lot less teams last year, but when people heard about that and saw that on our Navajo Nation radio, saw it in the newspaper, they got excited, and we got so many emails that summer. It was wild. That was really the goal. That was the whole point. And this year, over the summer, last summer, we talked to first headquarters again, and they were excited about all of the new PR. And so what they told us is that we'll be able to make the Navajo Nation a region, because the Navajo Nation encompasses not only Arizona, but also New Mexico, Utah, and Colorado. And how the system works within first is that it kind of goes between states. So anyway, they're like, we can make the Navajo Nation's very own region if we get more than 16 teams. Because they understood the different kind of circumstances from the Navajo Nation and the rest of Arizona. And so they wanted to make that happen for us. And once we did that, we were able to have the Navajo Nation's very own region. It was amazing. A very own region meant that we have our very own championship. And so that qualifier that it was 2 years ago was now its own very own championship. So and that way we were able to send 2 teams, the championship winner and the Inspire Awards winner. And it was simply amazing. One was a Kienta team and one was from Navajo Mountain. And one of them, the Kienta, they had the entire parade with them. It was a while to send them off on their bus when they're all the way to Houston. It was just really so inspirational. It really just brought me to tears. It really just reminded me what I'm fighting for with this entire program and what my entire mission was. And they had a blast. And even this summer, we've got even more people who want to join. And with that, we're gonna need a whole bunch of people, especially since it was just our team and just me kind of spearleading this entire program. One of my main goals is definitely sustainability. And so we're definitely gonna have to get more people on staff to make sure it really runs as long as it can, and that as many kids get as many help as possible.
Definitely. I mean, if I see a parade for something that I could do myself, I'm obviously hopping on that train too. That's super cool. The fact that they're celebrating, when you hear celebrations, it's, especially where I'm from, I'll be honest, it's all athletic stuff, football or baseball or basketball. The academics, the stuff that you place in academically, that stuff goes under the rug. The only time they care about the academic, smart, gifted kids is when graduation season rolls around. You're valedictorian. Oh my God, you won valedictorian. Now all these awards that you did, or you're salutarian, all these awards that you did. But the fact that the town, is celebrating academics, and especially in STEM fields, that's probably what would push kids more into what they want, and even if they were like on the edge, seeing that a whole town is celebrating you and your accomplishments, that's going to push them towards, wanting to achieve something with them as well. And, maybe, who knows, maybe even start a new flame in them to want to pursue STEM and robotics. So 100%. Did you and your team, obviously you did say 2 teams, but when this past year too, so does that include you and your team this past year?
No. The Navajo Nation teams, and like I said, our team is from Flagstaff, so it's kind of off the reservation, but I wanted to bring it back to my community, and those teams, they're totally separate, a whole different thing. They did it on their own, and that's what makes me proud of it. But yeah, our team has gone to world championships every single year since we've actually become a team, which is wild. And it actually hasn't been for robotics on technical side. It's always been on the impact side. So really having that ingrained culture within our team, having that culture of like doing that impact, making an impact in our community is really what drove our team and what really in the end drove me.
Definitely. And like you mentioned at Worlds, your team had won, you all been to Worlds for the impact side, which is shown because you all did win the impact award and then also the world championship award. Is the world championship award like actually like placement at Worlds, or is that like also an impact award?
Well, like I said, the whole mission of FIRST was to encourage STEM within different communities, and so that actually means that we were so honored to receive the Impact Award, which is actually the most prestigious award you can win at the competition. And when you win it at a regionals, it's a straight line to World Championships, which is how we've been able to qualify each year. But this is last year. It was amazing during my junior year, magical. It was historic, honestly. When we won the Impact Award, everyone was screaming, everyone was crying, and we honestly didn't think it was going to be us because there were so many amazing teams out there from like Australia, Hawaii, Israel. It was amazing. And just at this competition, you have to see like there's over 50,000 students from all across the world. Like I said, from Israel, Turkey, from Australia, from all the way, and it's just amazing, different kind of cultures. And there's like you mentioned you knew what FRC was.
Yes.
And there's different layers of first FRC, FTC, FLL. So you get to meet people your age, but also get to see and inspire all the other kids that are like 4 years old, 6 in kindergarten, really just getting used to STEM and robotics, and really just seeing all the different things that they're able to do. It's really inspirational because you can do so much in your community, but then you see other teams and you're like, whoa, they're cool. And which is really why our entire team was like, how the heck did we win? But it was just amazing. I'm gonna try to volunteer at World Championships, especially since that's why I was kind of sad. Last senior year, last World Championships as a student, but I want to go back as a mentor someday.
Definitely. Like you mentioned earlier, when you meet new people, you see all the achievements they've had. Not only is like, whoa, but it's like, I want to be like them too, and now obviously winning the Impact Award and World Championship Award, that puts you in the limelight for that, well, I'm trying to be like them type, like, you're in the spotlight of that, reaction now. So, you had people reach out to you afterwards, like, I know with winning awards like that, especially like FRC, there's gonna be reaching out, like, what did you do to do this? Like, what are tips you have for winning an award like this? So, did you have any experience like that?
Dozens of teams, yes. DMs just like the one you gave me, but also emails as well. And like I said, we're always out here to help. And a lot of it was, how the heck did you put your impact presentation together? Is there different kind of tips you can say for our essay? How do you rewrite your executive summaries? What kind of impact and outreach did you do? Can you help us? Can you give us the format? What kind of template do you have? And we always kind of say the same thing. It really comes down to your community, because each community has its own different kind of needs and problems and things that you can fix. And that's really what the judges were really looking for. How have you made an impact in your specific community? You have to explain the different kind of circumstances, because every single community is different. You have to explain your passion for your community and how you went out and did something. And that's really what I tell it's really lovely to hear from all the different kind of teams, all the way from like coming from Venezuela, coming from New York City, coming from California, coming from Georgia, coming from Minnesota and hearing about all the different kind of communities, their cultures, what they've done, and why it's important to them. Because more than what you do, why is it important to you? Why is this important that you did this? More than what you do, why was it important that you did it in your community specifically?
Definitely, everyone has different community experiences, different, but it's all like all the drives for the same thing at the very end of the day. They might have different reasons for the drive, but the end goal is the same for everybody. So your team did get those 2 awards, but you personally won the Alair medal. So could you elaborate more on what that is and how you believe you earned this award?
Well, once we became a Hall of Fame team, our team actually had to pick 2 students and our team and to nominate for this award, the Alair medal. And it had to be submitted to judges and other peer reviews on other kind of teams. And I was really honored, really, because just 2 people on our team, there's so many amazing people on our team that honestly I think could have gotten it as well. And the Alair medal was given to me and my friend Kate Garrison. And honestly, I couldn't have picked a better person for it. Kate is amazing. And the Alair medal, it's been really such a big prize, especially it's more than it just coming from the program. It's just coming from my team, my friends, my family, things, the people I've spent more time with in my family this past year probably. So it's really special to me. More than just the award, it's really just the sentiment and really what my team thinks of me and what I've done for them. And it came with an essay and why I got the award. And I'm always going to cherish that letter.
Definitely. But I didn't know that they had a Hall of Fame. Is that like they call it the FRC?
Yep.
Okay, so is that because of the impact? Like you win an award and obviously get put into the Hall of Fame or something, or is it like the accumulation of multiple awards over time?
But when you win the Impact Award, yes, you do enter the Hall of Fame. There's I think there's a little over 30 teams now in the world that are part of the FRC Hall of Fame. So it was definitely a really cool thing, meeting all these different teams we only talked about. We oh shoot, can we get your t-shirt? And they're like, yeah, it's $30. Now we get to be that team. But yeah, it was amazing meeting all these different teams and talking with them, meeting with them, and really just learning from each other. And the Hall of Fame team group is amazing. It was definitely a shock. Even when I'm saying, yeah, I can't believe that happened. Like I said, that was the reason developed. And this past year has really been paying it forward as a Hall of Fame team.
Definitely. I mean, there's like you said, around 30 teams in the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame in general, it doesn't matter what it is. The Hall of Fame is crazy. And you're being framed as one of the best to ever do it. The Hall of Fame is not just for the year, it's your history. You are part of FRC history. Hundreds and hundreds of years of FRC. So obviously you do have a lot of involvement, and obviously you said you plan on going back as a mentor. Because obviously with ResBotX, that is, you did take up that mentor status. Which leads me back to another question. So obviously, like you said, when you did create this all Indigenous robotics region, have it hosted in the local college in the Navajo Nation, were you also competing then too? Were you competing and also on the board for helping set all that up, or were you just straight up competing, or?
It wasn't a competition. It wasn't anything. It was just me seeing a problem with my community, something that resonated within myself, me having the resources to do something about it, and me doing it. That
Okay.
was the whole point. So I wasn't on the board for anything. I was just emailing and people thinking me crazy until I finally got them on the phone and talked to them what I was trying to do for the team.
Definitely.
And really, it was just that.
Okay.
I wasn't trying to do anything to win something, because then it wouldn't mean anything.
Yes, definitely. That passion is was driven through your drive for robotics, not the fact that you want to. So 100% for sure. But not only are you a STEM person at heart, but you are also a major activist for such as playing a key role in passing of CHIPS Act. Could you elaborate more on what this act is and how you believe it has impacted society?
So the CHIPS Act is very important. It actually put STEM funding to after-school STEM programs all over the country, different kind of STEM programs, and it actually helped build and create new tech jobs in Arizona with the new microchip facility, and that's why it was very important. It's done so much, and it's why it's kind of saddens my heart to hear what's that they're trying to dismantle it right now. But that's why activists are there. That's why I continue to do policy work to make sure that those kind of programs that help so many stay there and to keep on helping people for future generations. And I think STEM has always been my focus, mostly because I go with my team and they've always been into STEM. But it really has been just helping people. More than just STEM, I've also tried to advocate for more STEM stipends for for coaches and teachers who do these kind of programs. Because I know my coaches, they work almost 1,000 hours maybe in a year, and they don't get paid almost at all. And that's in contrast to other coaches that like basketball and baseball, they get paid for what they do. And I just want people to be appreciated and know that we're grateful for them. And having those stipends and having that be put into policy would be instrumental.
Definitely, and obviously that is the point. And it is a democracy. We do live in America, a democracy. So even if they try suppressing it, like you said, we do have activists to help, fight and fight for what you believe is right. Have that stipend. Because, like you said, basketball, baseball, football, those coaches, they get paid, but robotics and academic coaches, they don't get paid extra. It's just they see it more of a club rather than, an actual organization, an actual, I definitely see where that comes from. And also, you've also played a role in organizing the Arizona Advocacy Conference. So how did you get involved with that?
Well, my first involvement in kind of policy and advocating was that when I got involved in the National Advocacy Conference in Washington, D.C., I met with the legislators and offices of the legislators of my district, and, like I said, contributing to the passing of the CHIPS Act and increasing funding to the Every Student Succeeds Act. And it was amazing. It was kids from all over the country, from different states, talking to their legislators. But the thing that my team and definitely what I noticed was that we were the only team from Arizona there. There was maybe 20 teams from New York, maybe even more from California, maybe 5 teams from Minnesota, and every single state almost represented, except Arizona. We were the only people there. And of course, funding was an issue, so we can only send maybe 2 or 3 delegates to Washington, D.C. each year. And I was honored that I was able to be able to go. But that was a problem that we saw. And because we were the only Arizona team there, we could only talk to our district legislators and our senator, which was, how are you going to get change done when you're only talking to one area? So that's why my team and I helped host the Arizona Advocacy Conference. We were able to, because most education decisions really kind of happen on the state level, which is why we did it. And we invited all the teams from whoever we can get in touch to it. And our very first one, we got maybe 18 teams there. It was great. And we talked to our legislators. We talked about our stories. Why, more than just talking about the legislative stuff and policy stuff, which really can get kind of boring sometimes. The main point was to share your story and your passion and why STEM was so important to them and why these programs are so important to them and why increased funding would help them in the future. That was the whole point. That's what advocacy was to us, anyways. And it really went well. We talked to Senator Cook. When I say Senator, Representative Cook, and we talked to him about our story, our impact, what we've done, and he actually gave us $30,000 to use over the next 3 years towards our impact and what we're doing, because he believed in our mission. And that's really the power of words. And not just us, but also a team in Sholo as well got the same opportunity, and it really gets to show how much advocacy can go a long way. And really, what we're trying to do is increase the political and advocacy scene in Arizona, especially since in Arizona we're number 50 in education, 50 out of 50 states. If you can believe it. Yeah. So advocacy and speaking out is important, and it's more important than ever right now. So
no one likes to be dead last. Like, no one, that being that dead last position always got to sting a little bit. But the fact that you're fighting for it, that goes to show that y'all are not going to be dead last for in a little bit. Don't worry, y'all won't be. Do you plan on doing some sort of like minor in like policy and all that? Obviously, you're super involved in like policy related stuff, but do you plan on doing that also while you're at Stanford to get a little bit more knowledge and help you?
I really have thought. I'm still thinking about it. I don't know, maybe going to law school, but no matter what I do, no matter if it's on official level, I'm always going to be trying to get involved on the policy side of things. I mean, you don't have to be a lawyer, you don't have to be a legislator in order to make a change. You just got to be a person with a heart.
Yeah. You don't have to be that face. You don't have to have that formal. But if you have a passion, you have a drive, like you said, you have a heart, that 100% can happen. And like you did mention, you did go for the National Advocacy Conference in Washington, D.C. Would you say that's where you were promoting STEM? How was that experience? Because you also did mention that you promoted STEM at the Pentagon. So is that the same experience, or is that a different experience? Or
well, our team started attending the National Advocacy Conference 3 years ago, and really our main goal, we knew that change wasn't going to happen right away. They weren't going to change the policies just because three sophomore kids were going to jump into their room for 15 minutes. We were realists. But it was really just to build that relationship with our legislators and senators and get them to know our faces. And after that, we always sent them emails about different, maybe twice a year, maybe 3 times a year if we did something really cool about what we were doing and why, because we were their constituents. They want to know how their constituents are doing. And so really just building that relationship. And over the last 3 years, last summer when we went, we were within the Capitol building. And we actually got into a conversation, with a senior enlisted advisor. And they were actually, wow, this is actually really cool. I have someone that you should probably talk to. We're actually trying to put a bill passed through to actually put less than 1% of the DoD budget into STEM programs just like this. And it would be really cool if they could hear from kids just like you. And so we were actually invited to the Pentagon through that meeting, and we were actually able to talk and have a meeting with them at the Pentagon. It was really cool. It was really cool. I couldn't even take pictures. It was that official. I mean, it was like I said, it was wild.
Yeah, I mean, it is the Pentagon, so they are going to be very highly secure with what happens. If any picture or anything leaks from the Pentagon.
There's in the center of the Pentagon. You know what's in the center of the Pentagon? It's a coffee shop.
Oh, really?
Yeah, actually.
Okay, well, obviously all the head honchos gotta take a little break for coffee every now and then. For sure. Was it like a local coffee, or was it like a Starbucks, or?
It was actually local, I believe. But there actually is I was really weird seeing a Starbucks and a Chick-fil-A in the Pentagon, but there is one.
I didn't know they did Chick-fil-A in DC in general, not even the Pentagon. Okay, that's interesting. That is interesting. Okay. Well, I don't think I'm going to be going to the Pentagon anytime soon, but I mean, obviously I have to get on your level, advocating for maybe Tennessee rights or something, but getting in the Pentagon is not easy, and advocating inside the Pentagon too is another level itself. So 100, dang, okay. Because the Pentagon is, the national defense of agency, that's where all the defense stuff happens. So, and defense means you can't let your guard down, and they're going to be super strict. So that goes to show how much the work that you have done and advocated for really does mean to you. With all of this work that you've done, tying it all back, it all comes down to one singular thing, and that is your residency as part of the Navajo Nation and you being a Navajo yourself. So how do you feel like your culture has played a role in your upbringing and experience in life?
Definitely played a central role in my life. It always will. Carrying those songs and prayers and ceremonies with me, always taking pride. Whenever I introduced myself to someone, I always introduced myself with my clans. always saying where I'm from, I come from Cameron, Arizona, and I am of the Honeycomb Rock People clan, born for the Salt People clan. It's always been important to me, it's always been instilled to me that that's what I should do when I meet someone new. It's, like I said, always taking pride in where you're from. I recently came from an event in Chicago where I did a speech, and it was 15 other kids that were being honored as well, and they had to explain exactly what they did, what their own experience, their own passions, their story, kind of maybe like a 5-minute kind of little speech kind of thing. And I started mine off like that and explaining the significance of it, where I was from, and like what I did. And afterwards, a Colombian mother came up to me, and she was just bawling. She hugged me. She's like, thank you for taking pride in your culture, wearing your regalia, wearing your dress, speaking your language, and not being afraid to do that. I came from Colombia, and I came here, and I felt out of place, and I felt like I needed to fit in and learn their language and only use their language and their culture, or else I wouldn't be allowed anywhere. And just seeing you up there speaking your language, it makes me so happy. And my son, he also has that same mindset of like wanting to fit in, and he barely knows his language now, and we have plans too, and he doesn't know them. And I'm so glad that you do. It's something I want to teach my own kids. And so having that culture and those values of my culture to show them walking in beauty no matter where you go, and always knowing that your family and your clans, honestly, I can probably walk up to anyone in Navajo Nation, say my clans, and be like, oh, hello sister, hello brother, hello auntie, hello, and I'd always have like somewhere to go. And having that within me is always going to support me no matter where I go in life.
Obviously, culture plays a big role. My parents are first child. They are immigrants. I'm an immigrant myself. That culture, the community that builds behind you. Like you mentioned with the Colombian mother, my own little brother cannot speak my native tongue. I take very pride in my native background. I speak Telugu, so I can speak it fluently. I can read proficiently. I can write to some extent. But like my brother, he understands, but he tries speaking back, he can't. So, taking that pride in, there's not a lot of kids nowadays who take pride in like where they come from. So I definitely can see when the mother came up to you and did say that, especially with her own son, like when you mentioned that he barely has any ties, that just reminded me of my own little brother, because we're only five years apart. We grew under the same house, but the thing is, I know the language proficiently, and we're both as engulfed into like the movies, the music, the culture, the food, everything. But the thing is, I know how to speak, he doesn't. And we have, and having that community like yourself, like you see someone from the Navajo Nation, like hi brother, hi sister, and we have the same thing here too. You see another Indian, it's like that sense of home and community. But obviously you were super intact with your culture. So what is your favorite part about your...
I would definitely say maybe going out some nights, and some of these prayers and ceremonies that my dad does for people. I'm his helper. I help him sing sometimes when he, sometimes he loses his voice, sometimes he takes a break, and so he has helpers like me who kind of help him through it. And learning those songs, it's just so beautiful. It really touches something within me in my heart, and really just the land, really being able to walk within where I'm from. I mean, I don't have neighbors. I live in the middle of nowhere, really. But walking around, going to the swimming pool, riding on my horse, going to the canyons, going with my sisters and my brothers, going back there. And I would definitely having to say, getting into free for the Grand Canyon.
Definitely.
I think it's a perk of being Indigenous, being able to go to the Grand Canyon for free. But yeah, I would definitely say my most favorite part has definitely been my language. I think keeping that intact. It's kind of hard too. The only people who I can really talk to are definitely kind of my parents and my grandparents, because no one else really knows Navajo. And
exactly.
even on the Navajo Nation, a lot of the kids and a lot of other adults, they don't speak Navajo on the regular. So really, since my grandparents are the only speak Navajo, it's I think that's definitely helped me. It's definitely something I take pride in, my favorite part.
Yeah, that's the same thing with like my grandparents. I know my grandpa, both my grandpas can speak English, proficiently, but neither of my grandmas can speak English at all. And I've seen my friends, just talk straight up English with their grandparents. I'm like, dude, if I did that, not only my parents would slap me, my grandparents would also, because they would get like very, very mad. Like, I genuinely cannot speak, especially when I go, like last time I went to India, I was hanging out with my cousins, and English is like a native language in India. It just didn't feel right speaking English to them, even if like my Telugu was super chopped and like really bad. It just didn't feel right. So, just seeing the fact that you are able to stay intact and have that family to help you stay intact is definitely, and that's something that every culture should take behind us. But any person with any culture, whether it's being Navajo like yourself, Indian like myself, or just anywhere in the world, you came from a background and you might as well get engulfed, because it's not only do you have your American heritage, but you also have another heritage, and that is the beauty of being a part of multiple cultures. You get to engulf yourself in multiple different, and everything's different like from each other. So 100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally get that. My grandparents will slap me upside the head if I started talking English to them.
Exactly. There's like maybe a few times I slip up, because like I speak fast in English and in Telugu too. So if I say something, my brain just like stops for a second, and then like the English just slips out, and But sometimes I speak like way only the language. Like I was talking to my cousins the other day, like cousins like once removed. They were saying temple. I said the Telugu word for temple. They were like, why didn't you just say temple? And I was like, yeah, I could have just said that. Yeah.
We should make a word for it. I mean, you got Spanglish. You got to figure out another word for Navajo and Dangu. They could definitely.
There's like 7 languages across the world, so can't make all of this. But just taking pride in what the language that you come from, 100%. But all of these accomplishments, the past, your culture, your work with ResBotX, your advocacy, you were able to earn the Coca-Cola scholarship, and you were able to go to Atlanta, Georgia, and meet this whole new, you met 149 other people, and just got added to this crazy network. So how was that process of applying, and how was your experience traveling to Atlanta and the world?
Honestly, I kind of heard of Coca-Cola like kind of last minute. I think I saw it like on TikTok one time. I was like, I'm broke. I want to go to college, but I have no money. Let's see if this pans out. So I applied. It was really simple at first. It took me maybe 15 minutes. I did it like on the last day, probably hours before it was due. So don't do what I did. It was not fun. But and then it kind of led to like a longer application, and then eventually the interview, which of course went terribly in my opinion. But apparently I did something right. Yeah, it was kind of nerve-wracking starting the interview, and they're like, "We can hear you, but we can't see you." I'm like, shoot. So I was like, hold on. I think I can fix this. And then 20 minutes later, I finally got it fixed. And then having email and finding out that I won I was so happy. I was jumping up and down. And then traveling to Georgia. I'd never been to the South before, and I had only recently kind of explored the Northeast. I went to DC. That was my first time going to the East Coast, and I only stayed in DC, so I wouldn't say I'd actually explored the Northeast before. And then going to Georgia, going to the South for the first time, definitely a whole new experience. Atlanta is actually, I think, one of the biggest airports in the entire country. Yeah. So of course, being me, I got lost. And then it was just me like running around after I got off the plane, probably like for an hour, and them calling. I was like, "Where the heck are you?" They're like, "Where the heck are you?" And then that was a whole experience as well. But and then meeting all the different kinds of people at Coca-Cola, it was less activities and more people, and more just them giving us time to talk to each other. And of course, the food was delicious. I think they had like 4 cartons of like ice cream and like cake and like different kinds of really fancy food. But it was fun though. but it was mostly us just hanging out in the lobby, just hanging out with each other, playing card games, talking to each other, about our lives and like tell your life story. And it was like, again, having that imposter syndrome. Some people like doing such amazing things. I'm like, wow, I'm capable of doing these kind of things too, and I can do so much more. No, that's the whole point. We're there to inspire each other and show each other what's possible. And having that network behind me is really reassuring.
Definitely. Obviously, like you said, all of y'all were there for a reason. All of y'all are super passionate about what you do. And any thing is with Coca-Cola, it doesn't center down onto one singular field that you're interested in. It takes everything, whether you're interested in policy, you're STEM related, you're business oriented, you're super involved in the arts, or you're like a mix of interdisciplinary stuff like yourself. You're very involved in STEM and then policy, especially like STEM related stuff too. So I think just going down there, first off, I know like I've obviously with coming from like the drink side, it's going to be only Coke beverages, because if you sponsor any other beverage there, they're going to get, I heard that they were super strict on that for sure. And then obviously the food is going to be good. Like you just got invited, you were chosen 150 out of 150,000 people. That's a 0.15% chance. So obviously they're going to treat y'all like royalty when you're down there, especially with the food. And four cartons, how much ice cream do you believe you had when?
They gave us ice cream, I think, on the last day that we were there, and I don't think I had that much, but
okay.
Like, because everyone's going to town on it, like 150 kids, you give them ice cream, that's gonna go in less than 30 minutes, which it did. So.
Did they have like, because obviously, root beer floats are like very popular with ice cream, and then obviously you have a world-class company like Coke, bringing all y'all down here, so there's got to be at least 1 or 2 root beer floats. Did they have that as an option or no?
No, I don't.
That's great. Okay, that's wild. Maybe next year they can use that as a tactic. Some genius probably is gonna have some idea to do that. There's always someone spontaneous out there to do something like that, for sure. But all of y'all were chosen, and imposter syndrome. There's like a couple of things that each person has told me. The same thing, and imposter syndrome is one of those. Everyone that I've talked to has said that they felt some sort of imposter syndrome going down there and meeting everybody. And it's like, y'all, you've done this. I've only done this much. But in reality, like, you do so much. When you look back, it doesn't seem like you did a lot, because, obviously you took those steps, so it doesn't seem a lot. But from another person's perspective, it's massive. Like, each little step can lead to something, like, massive. And obviously,
Exactly.
with, like, if you didn't start, like, just doing robotics in general, you wouldn't have been able to build up to ResBotX, and then building the first ever all Indigenous robotics region, which is like that little tiny step to the big fish at the very end, for sure.
Yeah.
So, at the end of all this, why do you believe you were selected as a Coke Scholar?
I believe it was because I was able to portray my passion for what I do. Like I said to you before, like, people don't care what you do until they know how much you care, and why it was important that you did it, why you specifically did it, and why it mattered to your community. And I think I was able to portray that well. Really kind of intertwining what I'm interested in within STEM, robotics, policy, environmental education, and tying that all into who I am as a person, and why they should invest in me, and why I'm gonna go out into the world and do amazing things. That's why they chose all the students that were there, because they believed in them and knew that they were gonna do something great. They're like, I want that kid to be a part of this kind of community, and I think that if I invest in them, they're going to do something great, and a little part of that will be because of me. I think that's why the Coke is such an amazing program, because they put all those kids together and put them all in one room, and amazing things happen that way.
Definitely. Obviously, like I've mentioned multiple times, passion. If you're not passionate about what you're doing, then that just becomes serious work. You're gonna slog. You're not gonna do it as much. But if you do something that you're actually passionate about, then it's more fun, and it feels more of play. Not actually straight up, play, but you're enjoying it, and time goes faster, and you feel happy with what you're doing at the end of the day, for sure. to round out this episode, the Voice for You podcast is about the main tagline is to empower the leaders of today and tomorrow. So, what is some advice that you can give either to me, the audience, or anybody in general about being a leader in their own community and striving for what they believe is right for them?
I would say it's never about just you. No matter what kind of cards life has dealt you, no matter how bad you think your situation is, no matter how many opportunities you think that you don't have, there's always something to do. Even if it's just something small, it always has the opportunity and potential to grow into something big. I mean, growing up, I didn't think I'd be able to do a lot. I didn't think I wanted to go to college because I didn't think it was on the cards for me. I didn't think I had the potential to do any of that. And I was like, why should I even try? And now I'm like, I try because I must, because race, gender, background can be obstacles into what you want to do, and obstacles into actually choosing what you want to do for your future. And it's really just up to you to say, I'm able to do whatever I want to do. And the goal was never to tell people to leave the reservation. I love my home. It was to tell people that we are capable of far more than we believe we are. And you got to believe that for yourself before you start being a mentor for others.
Definitely, having that passion, having that will to, mentor other people later down and pass on the knowledge that you have. That's definitely something that everyone should have. That is one of the main reasons for the podcast too, because, all the wisdom that y'all have, passing down to other people, not only in the Navajo Nation, not only in the state of Arizona, but, not only even in the U.S., worldwide, this is a great way. Social media and, the internet has always been a outlet for your opinions to be spread and your wisdom to be spread 100%. But once again, Elena, thank you so much for hopping on the podcast. Taking a shot on me, it really does mean a lot to me, so thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for DMing me.
Yeah, of course. And no, like I said, one DM can change a lot for anybody. That one reach. Obviously, you have your own experience with reaching out to people with ResBotX and stuff. So that one yes can change a lot. So I really do appreciate you taking a chance on me for sure.
Of course.
Thank you so much. And once again to the viewers, thank you so much for watching till the very end. Remember to follow the Voice for You podcast on wherever you get your podcasts, as well as Spotify, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and once again, wherever you get podcasts from. And I'm your host, Jeshwant Vana. Thank you so much, Elena, for hopping on the podcast, and we'll see you all next time. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys. Thank you.